Okay, hey guys, this is Dave from the How to Podcast series. I hope you're doing well. I've had some people ask for this and they need a little help. They want to take their YouTube channel and turn it into a playlist, take it and turn it into a podcast. Now, I know there's some people who are going to say that a podcast on YouTube is not a traditional podcast because it's not available everywhere. And I agree to a point, yes. But if YouTube's going to put some time and effort behind this, you want to be there. So I want to give you the steps on how to do this. There's going to be a few things you need in order to do some of the things I'm going to be showing you on the screen today. And what I need you to have is a YouTube thumbnail, which is the dimensions for a YouTube thumbnail are 1280 by 720. And that's the image you see before you click play on any YouTube video. So you need that. I use Canva for that. I'll show you that as well. And you need a podcast image for your podcast on YouTube. And that dimension is 1280 by 1280. So it's a square image compared to the thumbnail that I mentioned earlier. And you need an MP3 file, which is your audio from your podcast. You need those three things to go through the process today. If you need help with that, howtopodcast.ca. I'd love to help you with this. Let me know and we'll jump on a call or a video like this and I'll help you do all that. Again, I'm using Canva. You can use the free version of Canva. I went for the paid version because it gave me a little more options, but you can do whatever you want and use whatever you can, what you can afford. So I'm going to show you how to do that as we go. So here we go. We're going to jump into sharing the screen and I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to get your YouTube channel and your playlist turned into a podcast. Okay, here we go. So let's jump into this today. So we're in our YouTube channel. I'm going to be here on this one channel that I have. And as you're here, you're going to see across the page here, when you come to your channel, to have a channel, all you need is a Gmail account and you'll have a free YouTube channel attached to that. So sign up for a Gmail account if you don't have one. Create one for your podcast, whatever you like to do, and set up your YouTube channel. Different topic, but you need to have that to start. When you come to your channel, and you'll see your little icon in the top right corner, you will have these options across here where you can see right in the center of my screen is this great word called podcasts. And then right beside it, at the time of recording, it says playlists. When I click on my playlist, now these are all of the videos that I have found interesting or whatever. As I go to YouTube, to my homepage, and I find a video that I like, so let's try this one. This is an episode of my How to Podcast series. Now, when I go here, I'm like, you know what? I really like this video. I want to save it for later. I want to watch it some other time, or I want to add it to my playlist of things that really were interesting or helpful to me. So when you're looking at the page, you can see here down in the bottom right corner, 3 little dots. You can click it and you can go save with a little plus sign and a playlist icon. Here, you can create a podcast. You can create a playlist. So let's do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call it Dave's Faves. Dave's Faves. Just made it up. It's going to be a private podcast. And I hit create. So now this video on my screen is in my Dave Faves playlist. That's what you need to do to start. I need something to put into a playlist to create my playlist. All right. So now I'm going to go back to my channel. And when I go back here, I look under my playlists, right dead center in the middle of the page. I click on playlists. And let's jump down here to my YouTube studio. YouTube Studio is kind of the back end to YouTube and everything you see. So let's go down to here to my content and my playlists. And right there at the top of the screen, it says Dave's Faves. And that's the video that I just added to my playlist. See it right there at the top? When I see it under the word type, there's blank. There's nothing here. Right now, this playlist that I just created is private, and you can see the date when I created it, and there's a view count there. So what I want to do is I want to turn this Dave's Faves into the new Dave's Faves podcast on YouTube. All I have to do is go to these three dots here and say options, click on it, and I have four options at the time of recording. Get shareable link. So if I want to link to my new podcast or playlist, I can grab this shareable link, put it in my email signature, put it on my website, whatever. That's where I get the link to this list of videos. I can edit this on YouTube. I can set it as a podcast, or I can delete it completely. I want to set this as a podcast. So I'm taking a playlist that I already have, and I'm turning it into a podcast. So under the type setting here in the middle, it'll go from being blank and it'll say podcast when I'm done this step. So I go to set as podcast, click it. First screen pops up is this, and this is my podcast name. Now I have 150 characters at the time of recording that I can put in here. And what I would suggest to you is to put in your title what someone would type coming to YouTube to find your content, and put it in the way of answering a question. So if I was creating a podcast on YouTube that helped motorcyclists maintain their motorcycle, I wouldn't just say Dave's Faves. That says nothing about motorcycles, says nothing about maintenance, says nothing about maintaining your bike, riding safely, safety gear. There's nothing here under Dave's Faves that would be searchable. No one's typing that into YouTube. Okay. So you want to do something that's a little bit more. So Dave's Faves, let's say tips for riders of all motorcycles, safety and upkeep. And I still have multiple characters left. Give yourself a title that has something to do with the content and is searchable. Okay. You go to your description. Now you have 5,000 characters. Get more specific here. What are some of the key things you're going to talk about? What does your podcast cover? What would somebody search to find you? Put it here. Make sure you have as much information here. Use as much of the 5,000 characters as possible. It's a great idea. There's a reason why there's 5,000 there. A 1-word, 2-word description is not going to help you more than using up the characters that are available. After you've done this, the title is required. The description is not required. Highly recommended, please, not required. Your visibility is where you can pick if your podcast or your playlist is public, private, or unlisted. So you have a choice here. So if you want your podcast to be visible to everyone, you want to make sure you click on public. For me, because we're just doing this as a training thing in a video, I'm leaving it at private. I don't want this to go out to the world as something somebody finds, because it's all pretend. Okay. So I'm going to put in here fake podcast by Dave. So I have my title, I have my description, I have my visibility, which I've chosen private for now. And then here is where I need my square image, which is 1280 by 1280 to see it's all grayed out here. I can't click done. This is a requirement. I need an image to put here. So I'm going to click on here. It's going to go to my computer drive, and I've already created it already. It's right here, and it's a square image. So when I click that, it's going to go in the background as uploading. There you go. And now my done is not grayed out anymore. It's available to click. I have the title of my podcast using as many keywords and searchable terms as possible. I have my 5,000 character description. I've chosen if it's my visibility, how I want people to find it, if I want them to find it at all. I have my image, and I click done. Now, when you look at your type under your channel content, you see there it is, Dave's Faves, tips for riders of all motorcycles, safety and upkeep. It says podcast. Now, under the title. And now my playlist is a podcast. Just like that. You did it. Your playlist is a podcast. Now, every time that you go back and you search on YouTube for something, so say, for example, you're a guest on many, many shows, and that's my dog. And as you go on podcasts, so here, Gunnar Duck was on my podcast, a great kid, really, really cool. So Gunnar was on my show. I'm going to click on the video of Gunnar, and this is his episode where he came on my podcast. I love it, and I want to put this into my podcast. So if I go here, there it is right there. I have a watch later, and then right there's the newest one that I just created, Dave's Faves, Tips for Riders and Motorcycles, right there. I click that, and it goes right to that folder that is now inside of my podcast on YouTube. So if you're a guest, find every place you've been a guest on where the host is posted to YouTube, compile all of that in to your playlist, now called a podcast, and you have one source for all of your stuff in one place. The beauty is, too, by doing that, you have the option to go into the transcription portion of the episode where you were a guest and pull down the words that you said in that episode, and that could be the basis of the next chapter of your book or content for social media, because going on a podcast as a guest opens the door to answer questions that you might not normally think to put into the world as content, as the host brings out information from you that you normally wouldn't talk about. You could pull that information down in Word document form or Google Docs and take those words and use that as content for yourself. Your book can write itself as you guest on podcasts. Just saying. So that's basically what you need to do, is just click on whatever episode, whatever you find, and just add it in there like that. And now that is going to show as a podcast on your YouTube channel. And it's just that simple. That's all it takes for you to go in there and create your podcast. And then again, if you come back here again, you'll see the name of your podcast, formerly playlist. And right there is a clickable link as well. Get shareable link, grab it, copies to clipboard, paste it into your YouTube, paste it into your emails, your social media, whatever, and send people back to your YouTube podcast. The only thing about this that I'm going to agree with our traditional podcast gurus, this is not available everywhere. So when you upload a podcast to YouTube, that does not mean that Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, they don't have access to this from YouTube at this point. So you are giving this content to YouTube within the confines of YouTube. Anytime that you have to log in, sign up for any service, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Clapper, whatever you sign up for, LinkedIn, anytime you have to sign in, download, log in, subscribe, whatever, you're now inside that world, self-contained world, and not necessarily everywhere. So if you go through all these steps, get your podcast here, and then you go over to Spotify and try to find Dave's Faves, no, it's here on YouTube. The bonus to that is I would tell you that you can do things here on YouTube that you can't do on audio apps to be found. So you really want to use up those character limits on the description and in your title of your podcast episodes, the title of your show, so that you are found. And again, I'm going to say it again, answer the questions that people would be typing into YouTube specifically that would bring people to your content. So I have the How to Podcast series. I'm going to be using How to Podcast. I'm going to be using YouTube podcasts. I'm going to be using microphones for podcasts. I'm going to be talking about all these different things. And I'm going to be answering the question like, what is the best microphone for a podcast? What is the best way to create a thumbnail? Canva. What is my favorite podcasting host? Buzzsprout and Spotify for podcasters. I'm going to be answering questions in my podcast and in the descriptions of my episodes that answer the questions that bring people to my content. So make sure you use those character limits as much as possible. And a bonus tip for people watching and following along with this is just around Canva. I love Canva. You can use this as the free version. I like the pro version because it gives me a little more options. When I come to canva.com, it's right there at the top. What will you design today? I'm going to click on here. I'm going to type in YouTube thumbnail. Good spelling, Dave. YouTube thumbnail. I click enter, and it's going to pull up for me templates. I can choose categories, but there's also this blank one with a plus sign. I can start from scratch. The beauty is it's the dimensions that I need to go to YouTube. So if I have the wrong dimensions, YouTube might not accept my submissions. So I want to use the templates provided by Canva. And this future-proofs you. If YouTube ever changes something, it's going to be reflected here on Canva. So use this as your guide. And if you have a podcast about cars, there, you just click the one, there's one here, the car. That's a pro version. It's got a little crown and it says pro on it. This one is a stop thinking negative, and there's no crown pro on it. That's a free version. So you can pick whatever you like, use somebody else's template if you like, start from scratch yourself. So let's pick, I don't know. There we go. 3, yeah, oh, this is good. 3, how to make thumbnails free and easy. This is the one I picked. It's got a yellow brick background, big number 3, and I'm going to customize this template. If I love it, I can hit the little star and save it. But I'll just say, click customize my template. I can go in here, I can change any of the words, I can change the background colors, I can change the images, I can do whatever I want to this template. And again, it's within the dimensions that YouTube wants when I do my stuff. So I can change this and go, say it says how to make. So I'm going to change that to say Dave's faves, fun words. And I'm going to take the word podcast and go, or thumbnail, I'm going to say podcast. Dave's faves podcast, free and easy. And I'm going to take the 3 out, and I'm going to go to my elements. On the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to search out podcast. It's going to give me the option for everything: graphics, photos, videos, audio. Yeah, there's audio here. You can add audio, and it's acceptable on YouTube, by the way, for free. If you need music for your podcast, Canva. But I'm going to pick photos, and I'm going to grab a picture of a microphone or whatever, because that's what we all do. And let's pick, I don't know, pick one, Dave. Come on. Let's pick this one. So I love it, but the colors are wrong. I'm going to go to, because I have the pro version, edit photo, the top left of the screen, and I'm going to remove the background. It does this little magic in the background. And now it is, look at that. That's all awesome. So if you're not watching, you're like, oh, what's Dave doing? Just resizing it, grab it, move it over here. And now I have the image of headphones and a microphone, no background, and I'm all done. And I just hit, I can go to File, Save to Folder, and I can keep my design. I can share it. I can download it. I can make a copy of this, whatever. Hit the share button in the top right corner, download. It's behind my screen as I'm trying to see. And that's it. I am good to go. I have downloaded my image, and I am ready to take that image for my thumbnail, and I can now upload this to YouTube and attach everything. One last thing I love to use as well, and if you are using a VA to do this, you can save yourself some money by going to oneimagevideo.com, oneimagevideo.com. And here's how you upload a MP3, which is the audio for your podcast, and turn it into a video, MP4, which is then acceptable to YouTube to be uploaded. You have to take an image, and you have to take the audio and you got to mash them together into an MP4. oneimagevideo.com. I've been using this for many, many years. Super amazing website, free, and it works great. All you do is when you go to oneimagevideo.com, in the center of the screen, you'll see kind of like an orange colored box. It'll say, there'll be two lines. One will say select PNG, JPEG image, and then the one below says select the MP3 audio file. All you do is hit the browse button, go to where your file is kept. So I have a file folder already open, and there is my YouTube thumbnail, which we just made on Canva. And then I have to click browse for the MP3. This is the audio version of my podcast, all finished, all done, complete, ready to go, what I would give to my audio host for my podcast. And I have the two filled out now. I have the thumbnail, I have the MP3, I click upload, and what happens in the background is it's going to do all its fancy work. I can go grab a coffee, I can go do something else while this is working. People pay VAs money to do this, and you don't have to. Why? You can do this yourself. It's really easy. And if you're nervous and you're like, Dave, can you just do this with me one-on-one? Yes. howtopodcast.ca. Go there. While I'm waiting for this to finish uploading, I'll chat with you about that. Our podcast is on howtopodcast.ca. You can hear us anywhere that you get podcasts, and you can come to our YouTube channel. And I would love to connect with you. I'm always looking for podcasters to come on the show who are new or thinking about a show or been doing this for years. And I invite you on as a co-host to talk about your podcast journey. So if that's you and you want to talk about all things podcasting and help the listener who is also thinking about the show, come on my show. I'd love to have you on. That would be really amazing to have you as a guest co-host on the show. And if you're looking for an episode from the How to Podcast series that's doing really well, check out episode 76, where we talk about 6 ways to deal with a hater. That one's got over 14,000 listens. I'm amazed. I don't know what's going on, but apparently there's something there that has value, and I'd love to share it with you. Go check out episode 76. As I'm chatting, this is all done now. You can see that both the browse fields are empty, and there's a little completed check mark here in the center of the screen, and it says download file. I click download file, and as it chugs away in the background, that is my completed MP4 formatted for YouTube, image and audio smashed together into an MP4. I'm ready to go. So when I go back to my YouTube channel, I click the create button in the top right corner, move my face out of the way, and click the upload videos. And then I click select files. There's a little gigantic arrow and a blank white screen in front of me. I click the blue select files button. I go to my download folder, and my most recent file should be at the top of the list. If I click on date modified, you'll see the name of the podcast, and it'll have a .mp4 on it. And under type, it'll also say MP4 video. That's the one you want. You click that, you click open. And now it's going to do its little arrow upload. And here's where you fill in all the details. And again, you want the title to be accurate. You've got 100 characters here. Make sure it's searchable words. It talks about the episode. You don't have to say the name of your podcast here because generally people already know the name of your podcast by this point. You want your description, again, 5,000 characters. That thumbnail that you created earlier is right here. You want to upload your thumbnail. That's the image before the video is clicked on. So let's grab this one, for example. So there I've chosen my thumbnail, and that might go away as I click play on the episode. And then here's the important part, playlists. You click select. So there it is, Dave's Faves, and you see it says podcast next to the title. So I want to click Dave's Faves, and I click done. Now it's in that file folder, it's in that playlist, it's in that podcast. that video I just uploaded. And when you look at the audience, you have a choice. If you've made something specifically for children, you'd click on that. But in general terms, most of the things you're going to upload are not made specifically for kids. So I always click no, click show more. And then here you can add tags. So that would be all the information about the podcast, the episode, searchable terms would go under tags. Pick your language. I'm in English speaking Canada. So I could pick English Canada here, but I just pick English. It covers every country that's English speaking. Recording date, when this was recorded. You can pick whatever date you want. You can go back in time. And then that's it. You go all the way to the bottom. There's a category. So depending on your category, it's a music podcast. You'd want music. You click next. You can click to add subtitles if you wish. You can add an end screen. That's what shows up when the video is almost done. Directs your viewers to go to the next thing. I always like to do this. Click the add button. I like this one down at the bottom over here that has two rectangle squares and a round circle. And it gives me the option to send people to a video that I want them to go see next, which can be a recent video. The best video for the viewer is chosen by YouTube, or a specific video that I pick. So if I know that two topics go together, I can send the viewer right from this episode to the next one. I also have a playlist option where I can select the playlist I want people to click on. And then I also have my subscribe button for my channel. So this pops up at the end when I'm all done. I click save when I'm happy with that. And then I click next. Here is where you are being checked for copyright content. And as you go through this, it'll come up with a approved thing here under copyright. If you use music from Spotify, you will get a notice that it is copywritten material, but it is permitted because you're using it through Canva. Spotify for podcasters has music as well. That is permitted on YouTube, then you won't get a copyright strike for that. So that's an easy way to do that. If you really want to make sure that you're good for your music, go hire a local musician in your community. Go to your local music store, put a note on the wall where people are looking to join a band. Post it there that you're looking for a musician to record a 2-minute song with no lyrics, just music that you can use in your podcast, and pay them. That's the easiest way because you own the music. Okay, it's yours. Okay. And then when you're done, you click next. And here, this episode, I have a choice, just like I had for the podcast in general terms, I have for my episode. If this episode is private, unlisted, and public. So this is going to be a public episode when I release it to the world. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is you can set it as a premiere, and you can also schedule this episode to be released in the future. So it's a Father's Day episode and it's 3 weeks till Father's Day. Schedule it for the night before Father's Day and do that here. The other thing by having a premiere, what I love and I'm playing with is you can set a premiere into the future, and it's Wednesday, but you want this to premiere on Friday. Then you can reach out, set it as a premiere for Friday, and then tell your community to come here on Friday at 9 p.m. when the episode goes live, and you can hang out with your viewers and with your audience as we listen to the episode together. A chat's enabled, and you can talk to your community while you listen to your show. That's kind of cool. Playing with it myself, trying it out. If you've worked for you, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. And when you're looking at your visibility page here for your podcast episode, check out, there's your video link right there. You can click on that and you can send that to your guest. You can put it in your social media, your email signature, whatever. That's a link directly to this specific episode on your podcast. So I'm going to save this as private because I want this to go out to the world. And I hit save. And so that episode that I just uploaded is now into my Dave's Faves tips for riders of motorcycles, safety and upkeep. It's there. So I have my episode that I've gone through the entire process with you. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd love to help you. It's not that hard, and I would love to make it simple for you. If you can't afford to hire a VA, then this is the way you can do it yourself. And you can use these as free tools. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. And you could be a player here on YouTube and utilize YouTube to send people back to your audio podcasts. The audio podcasts are probably the most easiest way for people to listen to your show as of right now. Things may change in the future, but for me, I love sending people to my audio podcast. And if somebody can find my audio podcast through a search on YouTube, it's worth the effort. It really is worth the effort. And I'd love to help you. howtopodcast.ca. My name is Dave. I hope that some of this helps for you as you go through and figure out your podcast on YouTube and everything. And if any of this helps, I would love to hear your feedback. If you need more clarifications, let me know. And get out there and start your podcast. I can't wait to help you do that. howtopodcast.ca. I'll see you there.